All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first practical lecture, where we'll see a getting started example. So our first app, and basically we won't do any code today. We'll only execute a few commands. And so our first app will have an endpoint which will open from the browser, and it will return us some text that we want. So with that in mind, let's start our lesson. So I created a folder called Quarkus course. You can see it in a /documents projects Quarkus course. You can create any path that you want. So I have a projects folder that have everything, and so then I change it, like I create specific folders by topic, and yeah. So for you can create a folder. It will be empty. For me, I'll always have a docs folder which I use for like some notes for next lessons, which will be available to you in the GitHub. So I'll have a link which you can use later on. So yeah, so you can imagine that the Quarkus course folder will be empty for you. So we'll going to start with the Maven plugin that Quarkus has in its arsenal. So let's copy it over and I'll explain everything in the command line. Let's start. So yeah, this course won't be coded for Windows. I maybe put something to help you in a comments or somewhere in a Udemy. So yeah, but everything will be for Linux and macOS. So yeah, with that in mind, let's start. So we have a Quarkus Maven plugin, and Maven plugin is in some sort of way, don't think about it as a dependency. It's not a dependency at all. It's something that helps you to prepare your project, prepare a basic structure of project. So you can think about it as a platform. So when you start your first project in any language, whatever, for example in Spring, right? You created an authentication. You created a user repository, for example. You created, I don't know, like emailing, sending emails to the users, right? And when you start the next time, you can copy over everything that you had in the previous project manually, or you can create a Maven plugin which will create a project for you with already something prepared that you need. And so we have like you can think of it as a plugin, and then after it you have a command. Yeah, we'll cover Maven in great details later in the course, but for now just think about it as a specific command, right? And we pass some attributes. In this case, it's project group ID, project artifact ID, class name, and path. So each Maven project has two IDs in some case. It's a group, and you can think of a group as like something that binds more projects. So in our case, we'll have a getting started project, and for example, the next project will be getting started too, but the group will be the same. And so it's just like something then that binds some projects together, right? The artifact ID is more like a project name. So just think about it as project name. And the crucial thing is that this will be used as a folder name later on when we create the project. So not only it will be used for a project name, it will be used for generation folder. You'll see it in a few seconds, right? And then we have a class name. The class name is, so you should know Java if you're watching this course. So you have a package here, and the class name. This will generate a resource. In Java EE, resource is something that maps path or endpoints and the logic in an application. So in Spring, for example, you can think about it as REST controller, right? Where you specify like a get on /hello, right? And you want to return something like JSON or something, and it binds to a function in a specific class called, in our case, it's called greeting resource. So if you're a Java EE developer, you already should know this. So no more explanation. And so the path, in our case, in the endpoint path, right, where we'll go from a browser and see. So it basically will create an endpoint in this greeting resource, which will be mapped to hello, right? So yeah, let's execute this command. You'll see that it will, in my case, it will create a new project. In your case, it can load some dependencies and then create a project. So if you see build success, then everything is okay. So don't worry about more or less text in this case. So what we're going to see right now is what happened, right? So let's execute the ls, and you see that we have a getting started, right? A new folder, and you can map it. You can see that the getting started in the artifact ID in the folder is the same, and it's intentionally because basically you create a new project and you almost always have a name of a folder corresponding to project name, and that's fine. So let's execute the tree command on getting started. So in this video, I'll open a Finder as well, because no, maybe not all of the users will use a tree, but later on, I would like to recommend you to use a tree, because a tree command to get friendly with it, to understand how it's working, and so yeah. So in this case, I'll open the folder in a Finder as well, so you can see everything that we have in folders, all the resources. So it will be like a duplication of everything that's going on with our terminal. So tree shows you basically a tree, all the folder structure with its including folders and files. So you can see that we have a readme MD, which is really helpful. We'll open it in a bit. And then we have mvnv, which is something like a wrapped Maven. So you don't need to load it and install it on your I don't know. So when you, for example, if you'll use this project, if you will clone this project on different machine which doesn't have a Maven, you still can execute it with the mvnv command, and it will start successfully without any problems. You have a POM XML, you can see it there as well. We'll look at it later. That's basically project structure and project setup, like config for Maven. And then we have a source folder, which is as a Java developer, it's pretty familiar, which has in our case it has a main and test. So we have a Java. So the difference actually with the most of the projects in Java and our case is that we have a Docker folder here. What's this? And we'll look at it in a few lectures, maybe more. But basically, Quarkus is a native, let's say Kubernetes native or Docker native, container native application. So when you start any project in Quarkus, you have you already have a way to start a project with Docker, and not only in a JVM. We'll see it later, but yeah. And so we have also resources, as you can see, a folder with resources, which has an application properties and index.html, pretty basic stuff. And yeah, of course, we have a greeting resource. So you can see that we specified a package name as tech.now course, and then greeting resource. It automatically edited .java for a file. And we have the same thing for a course. We won't cover tests today, but in next chapters we'll see it as well. Yeah. So with this in mind, let's start an idea with a getting started. I hope, yeah, I already tried to record it. So it's my second time basically recording video. So yeah, let's see what we have in our project, right? So it opens a README where you have a getting started project. So that's the name of your project, of course. It's automatically replaces everything that you have. It also has information how to start your app, and it's really helpful. So there is like how to run it in dev mode, which is like super simple command in the Quarkus dev. Then you have a packaging and running in the application with the same NVNV package. And you have a jar, which will be generated in target, and yeah, so we can start it. And you can create a native executable, which we'll cover a little bit later in our course. So yeah, let's see our folders in SRC. So yeah, we have a Docker file, we won't cover it today. We have our package tech.course, and then we have a greeting resource. And yeah, let's actually start with the POM XML. You can see that the Quarkus Maven plugin prepared everything for us in a POM XML. And you can see that we have a model version which is related to Maven, group ID, automatically inserted, getting started, our artifact ID, and yeah, it automatically sets the version to 1.0. And you have pretty much everything starting with dependencies, and you can see that there is like not so many dependencies actually. We have a Quarkus REST AZ, and then we have Quarkus GUnit for a test scope for testing, and then Rest Assured for test as well. And there is a few plugins how to build and a native and should be test as well. Okay, so with that in mind, you can see that we have few dependencies and yeah, that's basically it. And you have also Docker ignore and git ignore prepared, so you can have everything. You don't need to think about anything, whatever. So if you start an Eclipse or IntelliJ, everything is here for you. You can just start working. And yeah, with that in mind, let's jump into our greeting resource that we specified. And you can see that we have pretty much nothing here. I mean, nothing complicated. So we have a class greeting resource, which has an annotation path to a hello/hello, right? So this will map this greeting resource class to a specific path of the URL path. So when we go onto the localhost 8080/hello, everything that goes there will be handled by this greeting resource in some extension. So the next thing that we have is the method in the getting resource, and you can see that we don't have any constructors, we don't have anything there. It's super simple, super nice. And so you can see the hello method, which has a get annotation and produces a text plain text basically. So So what is that? What it does is that it will handle, this method will handle the /hello endpoint on a get. If the browser will, or any endpoint will execute the get method of the /hello, it will execute this method, and in our case it will return a hello, and because our endpoint produces plain text, it will just return this information back to our users. Looks super fun, simple, and you also can notice that we have only JavaX annotation for web services. So what it means is that you don't have any dependencies whatsoever for a Quarkus here, and because of that you can simply switch from any Java EE framework where you don't have as well any other annotations to Quarkus, and it's really helpful because I had one old project which had so many configuration steps to get it started, and when you switch to different environment you need to do it all over again. With Quarkus you have pretty much freedom of starting the app. You have one, in our case it's application properties file where you can specify any configs, so you can freely switch from Quarkus to any other Java EE or Spring application or backend technology as well. So it's like a two-way change, and it's really helpful. It's really useful in the long run on any migration. So yeah, let's start our project. As I've said before, we have a super simple command which is let's actually use our terminal here because the phone is a little bit larger. So yeah, let's go to the getting started project, cd getting started, and then yeah, we have a mvenv here, so you can call mvenv Quarkus and then dev. This will bootstrap anything, load all the dependencies that you have. In my case, I don't have any outdated dependencies, so in your case to load a little bit of libraries and then start the project. So you can see that the first thing that you see, that listening for transfer DT socket at address 505, which is debugging port, which you can use for debugging your Quarkus application. You can see that it has artifact ID and then the version running on Quarkus version. Started in 1.2 seconds. This is actually really slow for such a small app, but there is a super easy ways to improve it without like changing anything. We'll cover it in a native chapter of this course. And it says that we are listening on the HTTP 8080 localhost, or yeah. So profile dev activated. That's really nice. So the dev profile specifies that everything in Quarkus or any other backend you can have a profiles, for example, prod dev, or it can be something exotic, for example, I don't know, temporary DB, where you can use the H2 for temporary database, or it's pretty much endless. There is endless possibilities for it. So yeah, and you can see that there is a live coding activated. That's really nice, and we'll try it in a few seconds. Basically, Quarkus from the start gives you real freedom of changing source code, and the restart is not a pain at all. It's really fast, and it won't even compare to DevTools in Spring. It's a lot better. And you can see the features, the CDI, REST-easy. The REST-easy is our framework, the library which we added as a dependency in our POM XML. So let's go to the 8080, right? let's open the Google Chrome and start the AT80. So you can find something interesting here, which will be something like a helpful file, which will have some information about your application and then next steps and everything what I actually covered today. So yeah, this thing appears to be meta-inf.resources, and everything here is like accessible to edit. So we can add a test, for example, here, right? And when we refresh it, you can see that we have a test new text that we added right there. So it stores static file if it present by default in a meta-inf resources folder if it's called index.html. Okay, so yeah, it basically says everything that we've done so far. So what we can do is go to the hello. I already tried it. So let's go to the hello, and you'll see that we have a reply in our HTML. Basically not even an HTML, just text called hello. And you can see in greetings resource that we have /hello endpoint, and so we return a hello, which was basically the return is expected. So, but the good part, as I said, we have a live reload, so we can add something to it, for example, hello 2, right? And you can see that even though it says like live coding, there is nothing happened actually, right? You don't see any changes. And so, but when you refresh the URL, right, our website, or how do I call it, you see that we have a hello 2 there. So what happened? Quarkus reloads everything that you change on demand. So you can see that the hold replace total time is 0.8 seconds. And so what happened is that it wasn't reloading the app until we got the grading resource was used. And so the Quarkus checks if your class is outdated, and if it does, it refreshes it and returns the correct data. So that's why we have a hello 2 here. We can, we can call the, UID random UID to string, save the file. Of course, you need to call a command save in some of the editors. The idea, you can do it as well, even though it should save it. And so you can see that after a refresh, you'll get a hello, and then you have a UID. And the actually refresh time was even faster this time, 0.4 seconds, which is good for a dev. So it's like, you don't even wait before you change it, before you press the command tab. It's already refreshed, so you can just, you can put something here, right, like this, save, and then go to browser, call refresh, and it's already there. That's perfect. It's super comfortable for a developer. And yeah, so it was all what I wanted to show you in this lecture. As of now, as of this moment, you know how to create a super simple app with one command, which will have a live reload, which will have a support for the REST endpoints, so you can create a new endpoints if you need to, and so you can create a basic applications with Quarkus. And moreover, you have unit testing as well, which we'll cover later, and you have static folder serving with index.html, which you can put something as well. So you can put a single app application here and call your endpoints from this place. So something like this. I hope you like it, and if you do, I bet you'll like all the other lessons after this. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.